Avi, we have a question from an audience member named Jonathan Spitz, and he asks, are the ideas of a space race and some form of peace in space mutually exclusive?
I don't think so. I think, in fact, going to space will encourage cooperation. We have to cooperate in terms of understanding how to live in space for longer periods of time and how to establish the habitat that we have naturally here on Earth. So space has great benefits to science, understanding whether there is life in the universe. You know, that's a fundamental question. Are we alone? And so first we need to explore the object. We might find clues on Mars, whether the early liquid water that was on the surface of Mars generated life as we know it on Earth. And that's a fundamental question that interests most of the public. So just being worried about space, not exploring space because of the concerns about military uses of space is the wrong attitude. We should be brave. It's just like the next frontier. We should embark on it. And of course, there are political and military concerns, but there is no way out of moving forward. That's the wave of the future, and that's what excites the public. I think the public is looking for an excitement of the type that we had with the Apollo program. Since the 60s, we lost that sense of excitement. And science can bring that excitement back to the main street by exploring space. And so giving up on that resource and worrying about treaties...
You're saying, Avi, I think that... you go ahead, Michio.
Okay, first of all, I'm all for exploring outer space. The dinosaurs, for example, the dinosaurs did not have a space program. That's why there are no dinosaurs here today on this debate. They got wiped out. We do have a space program, and so I'm all in favor of exploring outer space. But what could stop the exploration of space? What could stop the whole thing is if space gets militarized. And all of a sudden we have war zones and different areas mapped out, different nations declaring supremacy in different areas. That could ruin everything. And I think that in the interest of science, that we should have scientists and explorers in the forefront of exploring outer space rather than militaries. So we have to rein in the military, and the way to do that is with treaties. And that's why I'm saying that it's worked in the past. That's why Ronald Reagan was able to pass some of the greatest arms control treaties in the history of humankind, because he realized that, yes, ultimately, it's pointless. Ultimately, we in the United States are the biggest losers. As the Chinese like to say, never pick up a rock only to drop it on your own feet. To pick up the militarization of space is to ruin outer space, to make it into a political football between militaries, and that is the opposite of what we scientists want. So we scientists want an open playing field. We want to have science for the benefit of humanity, not for the benefit of some politician or some military. That's why we need a new outer space treaty.
I completely agree with that, but let me just make one simple point, that all the military applications are concentrated on the surface of the Earth right now. And as long as you move far enough from the surface of the Earth, then it's just science. And so if we have our ambitions on the moon or on Mars and beyond, then I don't see any military concern of going to Mars. You know, I can see commercial benefits. So that's why I have no issue with going deep into space. Of course, if you are close to the surface of the Earth, there are military applications. But going deep into space is great for science.
But the question is, who's going to plant a flag on the moon?
Michio, can you hang on? I want to give
let me
Panuccia
just
a chance
jump in
to
here. Yeah, thanks, John. I just want to jump in and point out something else, which is that militaries dominate whatever frontier you're talking about because of money, right? The U.S. military has far more money than anybody else in the country at the moment. Same with any other government. That's where the cash comes from. But you're not thinking about the commercialization of space. Once space becomes truly commercialized, those asteroids that I talked about earlier, they contain literally trillions of dollars worth of material that can be brought back here to Earth. So the balance of power in terms of actual financing, in terms of actual outcomes for space, I think is different now than it ever was before. So this thing with treaties and governments, I think it's an important thing to consider, but it's very limiting. You really need to think about the commercial aspects and how quickly that's growing. And just like we have Facebook and Google now, the powerhouses in the future are going to be huge space companies, not just the military.
Raji, I want to just ask you a bottom line question on this. If China does not cooperate, if China goes ahead, if China goes all out to dominate space, what is the U.S. supposed to do?
I think the US will have to partner with other countries, because I think the partnership is the name of the game. Partner with like-minded countries, whether it is Japan, whether it is Australia, UK, France, India. And I think each of the like-minded countries can contribute in their own ways to strengthen the US competency. And I think overall complement the US capabilities in this regard. So I think that's to happen. I think that we might come to that stage. But I think I also want to make one distinction between militarization of space and weaponization of space. These are terms that are used in a very interchangeable fashion. But militarization of space is something that has already happened for decades now. The militaries around the world, even the somewhat not the top 3 militaries, but even the lesser powerful militaries are using space for a number of military space applications. So space has become part of the military operations. There is no two ways about it. But weaponization is what we need to limit, and weaponization of space is not going to happen. It's not going to be limited without global rules of the road. And I think even though they may be difficult path to reaching some sort of an agreement, but also the enforcement or verifying these mechanisms can be difficult, can be challenging. But that is not to say that you don't need rules, because even whether it is asteroid mining or even other sort of activities, you need rules of the road.